I'm Plaid Klaus. I'm from Virginia, and I'm a professional freelance illustrator. I heard about Dare2Draw when I first moved to New York, and it was really exciting for me because it was sort of this conglomeration of a bunch of really aspiring artists, and Dave kind of ran things in a really exciting way, so I was hooked ever since the first time I went. When I was 2, in order to prevent me from going and screaming and crawling over lots of things, my mom sat me down with a stack of papers and a crayon, and apparently I drew for 4 hours. And yeah, I've been drawing ever since then, so I can't remember that first one.
Awesome.
The first time my dad ever read comics to me, I think I was about 5, and I saw the art in the comic books and I was hooked. And ever since then, I've just wanted to draw comics. My mom totally dug and loved art. My dad has always pushed me towards sort of a more practical profession, I would say. But oh, comics. I was obsessed with Joe Madureira. I think that's how you say it, Joe Mad. Yeah, he was a. I loved his stuff, and I loved Travis Karst, and they're on 2 different spectrums. One is sort of a very realistic artist, and the other is very stylized. And I kind of always found myself somewhere in between the 2. I don't know. I actually have a very adaptable style. I tend to work very realistic for some clients and very cartoony for others. But my favorite style, again, is in between the 2. It's sort of an edgy, distorted version of reality. But it still has some edges of realism in there, too. Sure, my style is kind of a mixture between exaggerated cartoon realism, all blended together. I like things to be depicting reality, but I like to distort them and twist them and bend them according to what the emotions of the scene and character need to be. No, I'm always juggling different ideas. So the genres I really like are sort of dark, occult, mystical, edgy, fantasy, sci-fi, psychedelic craziness. No, I'm not that into the standard superhero spandex genres, which is kind of hard in comics, but it's changing. I think a lot of different stories are being told. So, yeah. I've never worn spandex, but I hear it's comfortable. Yeah, I could see myself working for Marvel or DC if the story was right and the writer was right, and everything kind of coalesced. It's a great platform to definitely have your stories be seen. A lot of my artistic background is self-trained. I did go to school for graphic design, and there were some art classes, but I never had that really critical focus on it. But I haven't put a pencil down, like I said, since I was 2. So I draw every day. I draw, nowadays it's about 12 hours a day. So I love traditional art, and I love digital art. They have different practices. I think there's something to be said about needing a classical, traditional, trained background as opposed to just jumping right into digital. There's something lost when somebody is just digital. That being said, creativity is creativity. So some of the pros of digital is just speed and an ability to quickly complexify a drawing. So I have one of those lap Wacom tablets, and I spend a good amount of time on it. I typically tend to just limit myself to coloring on a Wacom tablet because too much time around a computer and I start to turn into a zombie. So zombies are fun to kill. Boy, zombies in spandex are really fun to kill. Plaid spandex does not have an appeal, definitely. If I were to be a superhero, I wouldn't wear spandex. I mean, look at the Invisible Man. He got by pretty well with a trench coat. So my superpower would be, I think, flying. Who wouldn't want to fly? I mean, come on. No, if I could fly, the first thing I would do would be to sort of pull up right against an F-16, give the guy a little wave, set off some red flags, and then I'd, land somewhere inconspicuously and stroll. I would still be drawing if I was a superhero, I think so, yeah. In fact, if I could have a superpower, it would be to draw super fast. I get inspired by going to the museums, going to the theater. I pull inspiration from all different artistic mediums. I think they all sort of inspire in different ways. Movies, television. The main thing is just I need to get a story and a sense of the person and the narrative, and then from there, the art just sort of unfolds. Plaid Klaus sort of started off as a joke. I used to work with a professor, and we developed this character, the Plaid Avenger, who's an international man of intrigue. He's a spy, and he always dresses in plaid, so it's sort of a campy idea. how can you not know a spy who always dresses in plaid is spying in your country when he's dressed in plaid. I used to work in 3D for games. I used to do modeling, texturing, and I like game design. I like bouncing around to all sort of mediums. I don't do any traditional sculpting, but I like to get my hands dirty, you know, throwing ink, painting, anything that has a tactile sense. My dream would be to work with Alan Moore, Grant Morrison, and just any other writer that sort of had, or, oh, Neil Gaiman, yeah. That would be my dream, would be to work with those three writers. My dream would be to work with Alan Moore, writer of The Watchmen, or Neil Gaiman, he did The Sandman. Basically any of the edgier writers that tend to get pushed to the outskirts. Or I don't know, William Gibson, that'd be another fun one. But yeah, my dream is just to keep making comics and creating my own stories or collaborating with artists or writers that have a similar vein. I think I work fast and I'm very adaptable. Maybe weakness, I develop too many different styles as opposed to focusing on just one. But that's not really something that changes. I just love playing around as an artist.
Awesome. How has art helped you through things or helped you learn or become a better person?
Honestly, without art, I don't really, I mean, art is the only thing I'm really inspired to live for. I know that sounds silly, but without art, a lot of life seems mundane. You know, everyone needs something that they kind of are dreaming for or longing to obtain in the future, sort of like a carrot dangling that keeps you on the path. And art has always been that thing for me. And I think, yeah, without art, it would seem like a much darker world. With myself, I'm competitive, yeah. With other artists, I'm not competing because I feel like every artist has their own thing going on, and if you get into that game in your head, it's like, it just kills you, so. I think all artists are competing with each other. They're seeing what the other person's doing. They're just aspiring to beat, or not, to create that thing or create something better. We're all sort of always competing with each other, and it's a friendly competition, but it's definitely a competition. I mean, you look at Picasso and what he was seeing Braque doing and what he was seeing Cezanne doing, like they're all competing. It's always been that way, I think. No, I love the entire comic art process. My favorite is inking. I love sitting methodically and inking. At the same time, when I'm penciling, it's a new creation. It's something coming out completely spontaneously. And okay, the one thing I hate coloring is flatting. You have to sit there and flat a page. It's like a bad coloring book. I mean, I hate flatting. Flatting is the process where you take a black and white drawing and you have to slowly outline each little space with a lasso and color it in. It's pretty much the most monotonous part of making comics. So anyone out there who wants to be a comic artist, my biggest piece of advice is don't think about a career plan, just think about passionately creating comics. And don't limit yourself as a comic artist. Think of yourself as an artist. Study all art forms, figure out what it means to be a storyteller, and then the comic book side of it is completely secondary. It'll just be easy after you've discovered that you're an artist.
Is there anything you want to accomplish with your art in the world? Is there any
what kind of change you might want to make? Or?
I want to mold the minds of future kids with my stories. No, I'm just kidding. I think my main goal with comics and the art is just to transcend reality and bring people into some kind of world, lead them through an experience, have them learn, and then something that they can take back into their life and then improve upon.